Well, we've had 3 teenage suicides within a 1-month period, just in recent weeks, on the Standing Rock Reservation. And this is an Indian reservation that has already had 2 clusters of suicides, particularly suicides among young people, in recent years.
We've had a lot of trouble with Western mental health workers, especially the ones who came right after the genocide. And I said, what kind of trouble did you have? And he said, they would do this bizarre thing. He said they didn't take people out in the sunshine where you begin to feel better. They didn't include drumming or music to get people's blood going. They didn't involve the whole community. They didn't externalize the depression as an invasive spirit. Instead, what they did was they took people, one at a time, into dingy little rooms and had them talk for an hour about bad things that had happened to them. He said we had to ask them to leave the country.
And the Indian Health Service has a responsibility to provide the mental health capability and treatment.
The treatments we have for depression are appalling. They're not very effective. They're extremely costly. They come with innumerable side effects. They're a disaster.
What I have discovered is, for example, the Director of Mental Health from the Indian Health Service, that job has been open now 1 year, unfilled. They didn't even post it to fill it for 10 months. It's unbelievable to me. We need those mental health services. The number of suicides, particularly teen suicides on Indian reservations, and particularly the Standing Rock Reservation, demands that the Indian Health Service start doing a good job here. So I'm very concerned. What I have said to the Indian Health Service is, you tell me what's going on. Why are they not posting a job for 10 months? Why is there a 1-year vacancy in the Director of Mental Health Services on that Indian reservation?
I was struck by the fact that depression is broadly perceived to be a modern Western middle-class thing. And I went to look at how it operated in a variety of other contexts. And one of the things I was most interested in was depression among the indigent. And so I went out to try to look at what was being done for poor people with depression. And what I discovered is that poor people are mostly not being treated for depression. Depression is the result of a genetic vulnerability, which is presumably evenly distributed in the population, and triggering circumstances, which are likely to be more severe for people who are impoverished. And yet, it turns out that if you have a really lovely life but feel miserable all the time, you think, why do I feel like this? I must have depression. And you set out to find treatment for it. But if you have a perfectly awful life and you feel miserable all the time, the way you feel is commensurate with your life. And it doesn't occur to you to think, maybe this is treatable. And so we have an epidemic in this country of depression among impoverished people that's not being picked up, and that's not being treated, and that's not being addressed. And it's a tragedy of a grand order.
Tragic 3 suicides just in a 1-month period in recent weeks. Looking into that, I've discovered once again the Indian Health Service has open positions they're not filling. I mean, think of it. On this reservation, the Director of Mental Health position has been open for a year, and they didn't even post the opening to try to fill the job for 10 months. To me, that's inexcusable. And I want to find out who's accountable and what the Indian Health Service is going to do at long last to make sure those who are accountable aren't around to make those kinds of mistakes again.
one final quote that this is from George Bernard Shaw, saying that those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything.